All right, party peoples of the interwebs, there is something suspicious as heck going on right now, and no, I don't think it's Ian Carroll himself. Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler, in my home office with the beautiful Florida setting sun behind me. I wasn't actually going to do a video on this, except I've already got the thumbnail because my thumbnail guy made the thumbnail for the stream the other day and I didn't get to use the thumbnail, so I'm going to do a video on it anyhow. And by the way, DSLR Dave makes the best thumbnails out there if you're interested. So this whole Ian Carroll is a Qatari agent has taken on monumental, epic proportions beyond the realm of what I ever thought possible, and it's almost like people don't really understand how the algorithm works. They're taking to social media raging about the fact that Ian Carroll's meteoric rise is totally inorganic, totally suspicious, while they are simultaneously incessantly talking, tweeting, posting about Ian Carroll and sharing links to his content.
Do you not know how the algorithm works?
But one thing is for certain, Ian Carroll is going through a meteoric rise. You don't end up on the Joe Rogan show and not have a few people complaining about your very existence. His rise is meteoric. To say that it's somehow Qatari funded might be a bit of jealousy, might be a bit of paranoia. There might be some truth to it. Who the hell knows? But he has denied it. Let's get into it.
I have never taken money from any political party, from any NGO, from any nonprofit or charity, from any weird group that I didn't understand. The only people that I've ever taken money from are the viewership payments that I get from platforms like X, the subscriber payments that I get from platforms like X or Locals. I've done a small number of direct brand deals with family and founder-owned companies specifically around specific videos that were paid for, that I marked explicitly in those videos as advertisements for companies like Lux Beauty, female founder-owned beauty company, amazing company. Fairy Tales Hair Care, amazing company making shampoo that's healthy for kids.
Ian Carroll is a content creator. He does these TikTok videos where he goes into rabbit holes of various conspiracy theories. I would not say that he is solely focused on Israel, but some people think that his emphasis on the state of Israel is somewhat suspicious or an indication of his underlying anti-Semitism. Full disclosure, I like Ian Carroll. What the heck is that? Only in Florida, dudes. I like Ian Carroll. I had him on the channel. I find him insightful. I find him authentic. I find him to be of good faith until proof to the contrary. We did that stream. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I'll post a highlight right now.
You do these things which are called, like conspiracy theory or rabbit hole, but it's also known as research.
Yeah, I read.
And I was thinking, we're going to get into so much today. I joked outside, like, what a quiet day for news.
Yeah.
Jay-Z implicated in the P. Diddy. Yeah. What else? Daniel Penny just got acquitted. Mm-hmm. And as I was talking
the Middle East is in a whole storm right now in Syria.
It's only good news that another region has been destabilized, only to allow even more radical.
Possibly both sides funded by various arms of the U.S. government. It's kind of hard to.
No, it's the meme. It's the meme of Israel where you got like the rockets going to Hezbollah or Hamas, and then you got
my tax dollars.
Yeah, my tax dollars. So we're gonna get into all of this, but if you don't know who Ian is, you'll know by the end of this.
So I like Ian Carroll. Call me biased in my analysis. Does that mean I'm going to defend everything and anything he does? No. Why?
Because I freaking hate tribalism.
Now, I know some of you out there are going to say Viva Fry says he hates tribalism. He's the most tribalist person out there. He ran for the People's Party of Canada. He is an open supporter of Donald Trump. I hate tribalism because I don't like groups. I don't like cliques. I sort of like running solo. And even though I support Donald John Trump thoroughly, I still criticize him from time to time when I think he's making a mistake. I ran for the People's Party of Canada. I will criticize the party if and when I think there is good cause to do so. Yes, I absolutely loathe Justin Trudeau.
Loathe him.
And it will be very hard for me to acknowledge that he's done something right, but I will acknowledge when he's done something right. For example, he sure as sugar is playing this Donald Trump tariff war to his advantage, which makes him a disgusting scumbag. But I hate tribalism in the idea that because I'm part of some tribe and fill in the blank as to whatever tribe that is, that I somehow have to blindly support everything that tribe does. That's kind of why I run solo. It might be to my own detriment, but I hate tribalism. I hate clubs. I don't want to be a member of any fraternity, for good or for bad.
Let's take a quick break from the vlog for a word from our sponsor, The Wellness Company. What if the next global health crisis isn't just a pandemic or is part of a much darker plan? It's no coincidence that Dr. Anthony Fauci's pardon started on January 1st, 2014. This marks a pivotal moment in history, the year the Obama administration and the four-letter agencies took control of Ukraine. Shortly thereafter, Fauci spearheaded controversial gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses in biolabs. This is a strategic bioweapon production, a threat that has been brewing for over a decade. As if it weren't disturbing enough, new findings point to Pfizer's bribe payment to the FBI to get their bioweapon disguised as a vaccine approved for mass use. This coordinated global development wasn't just about public health, it's about power, control, and profit. And coincidentally, the media is sounding the alarm about a new strain of bird flu, one that could spread rapidly, wiping out populations and overwhelming healthcare systems. This is why you need the Wellness Company's Contagion Emergency Kit, engineered by Dr. Peter McCullough and his medical board. It includes 5 life-saving medications, including ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, Tamiflu, a nebulizer designed to protect you from the next global threat. Ordering is simple. You fill out a digital intake form and the kit arrives at your front door within 1 to 2 weeks. Don't wait for the next outbreak to catch you off guard. Stay ready for the unexpected. Head over to twc.health/Viva and use promo code Viva for $32 off plus free shipping. Once again, that is twc.health/Viva for that discount. Thank you very much, TWC, for sponsoring this video. And now back to the vlog.
Now, with that said, I like Ian Carroll because I've gotten to know him and I think he is sincere and legitimate. If he does something terrible, he says something over the top, I will criticize him publicly if I think it's warranted. And I will even defend people who I dislike. I will defend people even if they think I am their enemy, if I think they're being treated unfairly, and I think you can think of a few good examples of that recently. But what is being done to Ian Carroll right now, the treatment he's getting on social media, is totally and wildly unfair, and ironically, I would say that the people criticizing him of being a Qatari agent because he only focuses on Israel and doesn't mention Qatar might be guilty of the exact same thing themselves. Flip the names around. And I'm not saying that the attack, the campaign against Ian Carroll is inorganic, financed by interest. I'm not saying that. I might think that. I might think it sort of unseriously.
But it certainly looks that way.
Viva Fry at the Viva Fry. Okay, this is just getting weird, especially when the accusation is of Ian promoting coordinated messaging for, quote, interests, end quote. I'll ask, at Ian Carroll Show, do you or have you directly or indirectly received any compensation from Qatar or Qatari interests for any post/messaging you have made? And then let's go look at the accusations from Niall Berg. Has this guy ever spoken a word about Qatari money? From Max, at Max Nordo. POV, you have a TikTok profile about nefarious foreign influence, but you never mention China or Qatar. From A.L. Yacobi, at E. Wacobi. Qatar has given hundreds of billions of dollars to buy American universities. They have more lobbyists on Capitol Hill than any other country. Why has Ian Carroll not mentioned Qatar? Did Qatar also buy Ian? Why are we not allowed to talk about this? And one last one in a list of many, Life is Art Carry at life_is_art____. The only question at this point is how much is Qatar paying Ian to influence Maha/MAGA about, quote, the Jews, end quote. Now, I'm not saying it looks coordinated. I just happen to know how it works in the industry if I don't get all that many offers to sell posts, probably because people know that I will not be bought for a post, but it's kind of interesting. It's like the messaging is virtually identical. They're even using the same image in a lot of these posts. And I try to understand the logic here. Is the accusation that he somehow must be funded by Qatar because he doesn't criticize Qatar enough to the liking of the people making the accusation? Is the idea that he must be anti-Semitic because he might have something of a focus on the state of Israel? I mean, holy hell, I direct a lot of my criticism against Canada. It certainly does not mean that I am anti-Canadian. In fact, I would say it's the exact opposite. I criticize the government of Canada because I want a better future for Canadians. And for whatever the reason, I don't criticize Yemen all that much. Is that to say that I am bought out by Yemeni interests? I don't criticize Qatar all that much. It's not because I'm bought out by Qatari interests. It might be because I don't really have a particular interest in Qatar to talk about on a daily basis. But someone gets very popular, maybe very quickly. They end up on Joe Rogan, and then the people who might be jealous, who might have some problems with some of the things he say, go on a campaign to take him down. I'm sorry, that's just not fair. And also, do you not understand how the algorithm works? Ian is a well-researched, he's not perfect, but he's a well-researched, charismatic person who delivers his messages in a catchy manner. That alone is enough to get you mildly popular. Having the internet talk about you all day, day in and day out, about your meteoric rise only compounds the meteoric rise, and thus is something of a self-fulfilling prophecy, creating the very problem that they're complaining about in the first place, which is being created because they're complaining about it in the first place. But the bottom line, does Ian Carroll talk about Israel more than he talks about other countries? Maybe. Is that an indication of some underlying hatred for the people thereof? Absolutely not. I talk about China a lot. There's no underlying hatred for the Chinese. I talk about Canada a lot. I have no underlying hatred for the people of the countries that I criticize. Why that would be any different for Ian Carroll for his criticism of Israel, I don't know. I don't operate on that assumption. And the reality is that people are spending a whole hell of a lot more time criticizing Ian as a person, making suppositions about about his underlying finances and going after him to try to discredit him, as opposed to just addressing his ideas. And then getting back to that tribalism that I was talking about at the beginning of the video before the sun goes down, I absolutely hate this tribalism. People look at me and say, Viva, you're Jewish, you shouldn't be saying anything bad about Israel. That is a load of bullplop. I will criticize everyone and anyone. If I think they deserve criticism, I might be a little bit more forgiving and assume good faith with friends and assume bad faith with enemies, but I don't get to base arguments on bad faith. That still needs to be proven, and I still need to refute the arguments of my enemies, who I might be assuming are operating on bad faith. I can assume intentions all I want. Arguments need to be disproven. What we have going on with Ian is a lot of underhanded suspicion, a lot of baseless accusations, a lot of assumptions based on inaction, not conclusions from action. You think he talks a little bit too much about Israel? Tough noogies, don't listen to him then. You think you can draw guilt by the fact that he doesn't criticize Qatar?
You're an idiot.
Content creators are within their rights to create content about subject matter about which they are passionate, and to expect them to create content about stuff that they don't really care about, it won't be very compelling content. Now, some of you might say, why is he so interested in Israel? Who cares what his intentions are? If he focuses on Israel, that's his choice to focus on Israel. Respond to his arguments, not to what you think is a disproportionate interest in a specific country. Part of me sincerely feels that this is part of some COINTELPRO operation to divide and conquer, and part of me feels a little guilty or responsible for playing into it, for even addressing it, for talking about it, and possibly then exacerbating it. But I do have to address this. It's not fair what's being done to Ian. You may like him or hate him. It's just not fair. Ian is a good guy until proof to the contrary. He might not be perfect, and if he does something stupid, I will criticize him for it. But that is the vlog. I'm going to end by summarizing exactly how I will criticize everyone and anyone if I disagree with something that I think is objectively wrong that they've done. But before I do that, make sure that you are liked, shared, subscribed, that you have notifications turned on. Make sure to exercise, eat healthy, get sunlight, talk to people in real life, and now a list of my criticism against everyone and anyone. Peace out. Booyah. Viva Fry at the Viva Fry. For the record, I criticize everyone and anyone if I feel it is warranted. I criticize Israel, the government, for its mass human experimentation as relates to the COVID shot. I criticize Israel, the government, for its inexcusable and arguably criminally negligent lack of preparedness as a result of which October 7 occurred. I criticize Hamas for being a terrorist organization that exploits and exacerbates the plight of innocent Palestinians. I blame BLM and any other terrorist sympathizer for condoning/rationalizing Hamas terrorism, and in so doing exploiting and exacerbating the plight of innocent Palestinians for political profit. I criticize Trump for certain cabinet picks and for not yet walking back his support of the COVID, quote, vaccine, end quote. I criticize the Canadian Liberal Party for being tyrants and the Canadian Conservative Party for being cowards. I criticize China for waging ideological and chemical warfare against the West. I criticize England, the government, for being fascistic tyrants who lock people up for social media posts. I criticize France, the government, for political persecutions and social media censorship. I criticize Russia, the government, for authoritarianism and corruption. I criticize Ukraine, the Zelensky government, for authoritarianism, corruption, and tyranny. I criticize anyone who criticizes someone for not simultaneously criticizing everyone and thus accusing them of favoritism in who they do and do not criticize. I think I've covered it. Oh wait, I forgot Qatar.
Laugh emoji!